What was the dating life before we met each other? I'll let you go first.
Did you ever see Titanic?
Wow, that's how we starting off the podcast. There's always gonna be someone that is better than your spouse. That's good. Right, bro. I'm sorry.
I'm insulted, Mom.
Before you get to marriage, you gotta date, right? What do you feel is the goal of dating?
The purpose of dating is to gather data.
It was an interesting story. Do you want to start off? Because she has a different version and I have a different version. At the end of the conversation, she says, and you know what? Save me a dance, Big Daddy.
Not say Big Daddy.
Oh!
You're being very annoying. My version of it is love is easy, relationships are hard.
And that's the thing I always tell my female friends, dog. Do not be tricked. Men know what they want.
What the really tricky part about the nice guys is they're not really nice. They're pretending to be nice.
Ooh, that's kind of rough. That was tough. You and this person, you're dating, having a good time, and they just stop communicating for like a week. And then they pick it up after a week like nothing happened. Healthy or hazard?
Did he die?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the month of love, okay? We're going to Valentine's Day. Funny enough, this is actually one of the times when me and Davriel actually took our relationship to the next level. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, this is a conversation I felt that was needed. Now, we want to preference this by saying we are not relationship coaches. We are not gurus. This is pure trial and error, wisdom, practicality, vulnerability, success after error. What else can I add?
It's just life experience.
Life
is what it
experiences.
is, really.
And honestly, life experiences from us, life experiences from people that we have close proximity with, because honestly, we were privileged enough to come from two households that have healthy marriages for over 40 years?
Yeah.
You know, and so that in itself is something, but also information that stems from either being in relationships, counseling, multiple different things. So we want to definitely dive in to this concept.
Absolutely.
Now, it is important for you to make sure to stick towards the end because we will be indulging in a very interesting game. I'm calling it, what am I calling it? I'm calling it, what did I call it?
Healthy or hazardous.
Yeah. I'm calling it healthy or hazardous. This is going to be interesting.
Oh, I'm excited.
All right. So first and foremost, I want to just kind of dive into our origin story, but even before we got together, what was life like? What was the dating life before we met each other? I'll let you go first. What was dating life for you?
Did you ever see Titanic?
Wow. That's how we starting off the podcast. Talk about it.
No, I think dating for me, well, I mean, the reason that I would categorize it as bad, in my own estimation, I felt like it took too long. I think dating is like losing weight. If you're constantly doing it, then you're not really that good at it. To be honest with you. That's a separate take for a different day. But it's like when you have relationship gurus who are single, or people who, I've been dating for 10 years or 15 years, so I know. It's like, well, if you knew, you wouldn't still be dating. But that's its own thing for a different day. But for me, my experience was mixed. I think over the course of my life, I met some really interesting men, been on a lot of dates. But I think my particular faith experience, that perspective really shaped a lot of my dating experience, and it really sheltered me for better or worse, in its own way. I feel like because I was very clear on my stance about abstinence and celibacy, that made my relationships markedly short because it was like either we're getting married or we're not going to be together. And so actually, I think it was actually kind of helpful for me though. Obviously, it's not fun being single for a long time and not having a partner. You want somebody to spend Valentine's Day with. You want somebody to go places with. But I feel like I had a very intentional dating journey, despite the fact that, I did go on quite a few dates over the course of my life and seriously date a few guys. I think, like, when I think back about what I would do differently, I think I was definitely insecure in some ways, and I wish I could tell my former self exactly how dope I was in terms of some of the things that I put up with. And on the other hand, you know, I feel like it's everybody's first time at life. You don't know what's on the other side. And so I think I was very nervous about how things were going to play out. And in a lot of cases, I settled for things that I should not have
Not this
because
case.
I was concerned that, you know, I mean, that this is as good as it gets, you
Right.
know, not knowing what was on the other side for
Come
me.
on, somebody.
So I think I had dating wasn't terrible.
Mm.
It was few and far between my relationships. And like I said, they were very intentional, and most of them relatively brief because it was very decided. Like either we're getting married or we're not. And I think at the point
Not sure
where
at all.
where we decided, you know, this is gonna work, it's not gonna work out, then we parted ways. And I mean, I don't really have regrets.
Fair enough. I would say my own was completely different. I was at the fence. I was bought in. I went to a party school. I went to WVU, West Virginia University. I was out here. All right. Now I wasn't out here, but I was definitely out here.
He was out.
I was out. I wasn't out here, but I was out here. If that makes sense.
You went the peripheral.
Honestly, for me, you know, I got on the straight and narrow a little later on in life. But you know, I had my fun. I would say that I definitely had my fun. However, that fun was still mixed with a lot of insecurities,
Mhm.
a lot of misalignment with identity. Because for me, one of my major things, especially from 2025 moving forward, is helping people understand identity, right? Because I feel like if you are misaligned with who you are and what your purpose is, you're gonna get dragged in many different directions. You like you say, you're gonna lower your standards because you don't know your worth
Mhm.
and settle for things that's not really, you know, meant for you.
Mhm.
So I feel like my fun time was mixed with a lot of that. And I felt that also created a loophole for depression,
Mhm.
a loophole for, you know, just insecurity and just not living up to my fullest potential. You know, it's like, you see that sitting across from me, you know what I'm saying? But I would start this by saying one of the major things I felt that got me, you know, tricked and bamboozled
Mhm.
was I mistaked, and a lot of guys do this. I mistake being a nice guy for being a respectable guy or a
Mm.
respectable man. I feel that's a loophole for a lot of men because obviously I've been trained to respect women, you know, and then you watch some of these movies and romances and you want to do that because the women in the movies reciprocate that those gestures so well, but that don't work in the real life, at least until you establish a true connection with that person.
Yeah, I would jump in to say, I remember I read a book. It was called Wild at Heart by
Mm,
John Eldridge, and they had a female version which is called Captivating. But what was interesting was they talked about the fact that Christian men are not called to be nice guys; they're called
mm,
to be good men. And
mhm.
a good man and a nice guy are two different
Two
things.
different
You know what I
things.
mean? A nice guy is somebody who kind of does whatever you want him to do. Like
Mhm.
when you think of a nice guy,
The
really what you start to imagine is a lapdog who
mhm.
will, if you ask him to do this, he'll do it. And if you want him to
Dang, a
do that, he'll
lapdog.
do it, X, Y, and Z. Whereas a good man is somebody with convictions, with boundaries,
Mhm,
who is confident, who is
mhm.
sure of himself, who has a desirable qualities outside of niceness. What
Mhm,
happens with a lot of guys who are like, I'm a nice guy? It's like, do you want to marry a nice girl?
mhm, mhm.
Because they don't really. I mean, she's a nice girl, but she's not very pretty, but she's nice. She's not very funny, but she's nice. She's not very, you know, ambitious, but she's nice. It's like, no, guys don't want to marry nice girls. They want to marry women who they find attractive, who are confident, who are funny, who are
Mhm,
sexy, you know,
mhm,
to them,
mhm,
who are
mhm,
interesting. And
mhm.
so, in the same way, I feel like a lot of guys lean on, but I'm a nice guy. I bought her flowers. I bought her groceries. It's like that
You don't
that doesn't tell me anything about your character.
mhm.
That doesn't make you an interesting person. That doesn't make you a confident individual. And so, and I dated my fair share of nice guys. And what the really tricky part about the nice guys is they're not really nice.
Mm,
They're pretending to be nice.
right.
When it becomes clear that you're not sexually interested in them at all, watch the behavior change up
Mm,
substantially,
mhm,
dramatically. Watch his
mm,
behavior actually drift into a category called mean. So
mhm.
it's like, you're not nice. you're doing things with the hope that there will be some sort of reward at the end of this. So you didn't buy me flowers because you wanted to brighten my day. You bought me flowers because you wanted to have sex with me, really.
Want juice.
Or you want to be, you know, a boyfriend and girlfriend. And so it's like, you're not actually nice. You're trying to manipulate me with your nice gestures. And so I think, and I just think people really need to revisit the concept. Obviously, you want to be a person of integrity. You want to be somebody who's kind. You want to be somebody who's generous. But that's more about who you are. I feel like the nice guy thing is a mask for people who really don't, Lord Jesus, for people who really don't have that much to offer otherwise.
And ooh, that's kind of rough. That was tough. And you know what? It's the truth, because when you're in that position, your ultimate goal is to please that person, not necessarily see if this person is a right fit for you. And I think for me, it was a point in time during COVID when I had to like really zone in and kind of find myself. I had time, all the time in the world, because I was just tired of, you know, getting into dead-end relationships, you know what I'm saying? Counting lampposts, you know what I'm saying? After relationships did not work out. That's a terminology in the Bahamas, by the way. We'll talk about that in the future. But two things that actually really helped me was a book called The Way of the Superior Man. That was an awesome book. So a lot of men, if you're looking for information about just masculinity, being an alpha male, knowing how to lead and you know, be a alpha male in a relationship, that is a great book. And then another teaching, to be honest, by Dr. Miles Monroe. It was, I think it was a men conference. And one of the things he said, what is one of the first things that God gave Adam? And, you know, plenty of people call different, you know, have different answers. And one of the first things he said was work, you know, purpose, tending to the garden. And a lot of times when we are so fixated on getting that girl and all these things, we forsake our actual purpose and what we need to do, not knowing that if you actually go after your purpose, the women will come.
Right. You will be more attractive
you
to
will
the
be
women.
more attractive. They're going to come. And then that all falls into, not to sound, you know, spiritually all out the gate, but seeking first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. That, for me, that's a work. I'm not saying, well, honestly, I am saying that works, period. But some people get to that differently. But when I started to do that, I seeked first the kingdom of God. I seeked my, you know, my purpose, and then boom, I started having more success in relationships because I wasn't, you know, getting toggled left and right. I had different boundaries. I had different things that I would accept and didn't and would accept, you know, and then, you know, you came along, you know, and at that point in time, I already knew myself. And I knew, okay, because we're going to get into this. If this gal start acting a little different, I'm out, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we had that moment in our relationship early on in our dating relationship, and we're here. So, so with that being said, I just want us to kind of establish with the audience, how do we end up together? You know, because it was an interesting story. Do you want to start it off? Because she has a different version than I have a different version. I believe my version to be more true than hers. However, you know, there's no scoreboard. You want to go or you want me to go?
I can go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Okay, well, my version of events is that, I mean, I knew you my whole life. Our mothers are very good friends. We grew up in church together. And when I was 13 years old, I got a correspondence from you.
A nice young man.
Yes. It was
full of life.
It was a love
full of hope.
It was a love letter of sorts. And it was really just filled with the most beautiful emotions. And I cherished it. I treasured it. But I did not respond to it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to put into context. This is before you could get blue tick. This is before WhatsApp. Okay. I sent this via email.
He sent me an email.
By the way, shout out to my cousin Theo Miller. I'm calling him out on the podcast. He convinced me to write this long letter using the lyrics of Simple Plan. I don't know if y'all remember. This was during the punk rock era. I'll do anything just to hold you in my arms, just to make you laugh. All right, I'm not going. That was the song I wrote word for word, bar for bar down and sent it in the email to Davriel.
He did.
Funny enough, years later, she actually didn't even know the song. She thought that was my
I
beautiful writing.
thought he wrote me these words from the heart. I kept it. I had kept it. Like literally, I saved the email because I thought it was so precious. But I didn't reply to it because I had a boyfriend because I'm loyal.
Okay.
And I didn't know I could just say, thanks, Drew. I'm not interested. I didn't have that emotional language at 13. So yeah, I never replied, but I always remembered it. And I think, we were just
From that
not on the
point on,
same path
yeah.
really at that point. And then we
I started
really
going
kind
to-
of, right. You did your own
I
thing.
did my own thing.
You were on your path. I went to college. I went to Christian school. I was living my Bible girl dreams.
I went to WVU, home of the Mountaineers.
And so, yeah, I mean, we just kind of fell out of step with each other. We were always cool. And
Yeah.
I think I always just kind of framed you in a positive light, but we just really didn't talk a lot. And it was, I think, 2019
yep.
that you came home from abroad, and you had, toward the end of, we ended up singing together. I think it was my parents' anniversary.
So funny story. Their parents' anniversary. Can I tell this part?
Okay.
Her parents had an anniversary. Wait, how did I end up singing with you, actually?
I asked you.
Oh, yeah, she...
So I think the ball was
just want
first.
to put that out there. She asked
I think the ball...
Remember this. This is going to be key in the story, ladies and gentlemen.
I think the ball was first. So
the ball wasn't first?
Yeah.
No, the ball was after.
Okay.
The singing was first. No?
Okay. Well, I don't know.
We sang twice.
Anyway, yes, there were 2 songs.
So the anniversary, she asked me to sing this song from John Legend.
Stay With You.
Stay With You. All right. Just want to put that up. Remember. Go on.
You're being very annoying. And so from there, I was working for a telecoms provider at the time, and we had gotten tickets.
Wait. You zoned by something. We sang the song.
We sang the song.
Something my dad said.
No, that wasn't that day. That was the next song.
Oh, that was the second singing. Go on, my bad.
I'm trying to tell you. 2019.
Okay,
Stay with me.
Go.
I want to say fall or Christmas, which ironically, I had a breakup earlier that year. But I had gotten tickets from my employer to go to the Red Ribbon Ball because we had a table. And so one of my coworkers actually was supposed to come as my date. Because I was like, I haven't been out in a while. Like I said, I was kind of shaking off a breakup. I'm like, I want to have a good time. I want to dance the night away. And one of my other coworkers, we got ready together with girlfriends. And so we drove out there. On my way to the ball, I realized that I am being stood up by my date, so to speak. And so I was like, anyway, I'm going to have a good time. And funny enough, I actually told myself, you're going to meet your husband tonight before I left for that ball. One of my good friends, Sherelle, she had met her husband at a ball, and she was telling me that story, maybe just to encourage me after everything that I had been through that year. But she was like, you never know what could happen. You should go to the ball. And so I went to the ball. I got dressed up. I was like, I'm going to meet my husband tonight. And we all have a good time. I see my good friend Drew. I don't. No, okay. No, for real. For real, in my mind.
I'm gonna tell my version of this.
Babe,
I'm gonna let you live.
We have a whole daughter. Okay?
Go. I'm gonna let you live. Go ahead.
The friend zone is in the box. No, but I was like, I see my friend Drew, because you were cool people. And I'm like, okay, I didn't really register that as meeting you because I knew you my whole life. And so then I see you there. I was like, oh, I was so happy to see you. I hailed you. And at the end of our exchange, I said, make sure to save me a dance.
Yeah.
Because again, I had a date. He stood me up. I wanted to dance the night away. I was like, oh, look, it's Drew. Drew's here. He can be my dance partner. That is my version of affairs. What is your version of affairs?
So, AIDS Foundation Ball,
There we go.
I come looking like how I'm looking, tuxed out, diamond sponsor, you know what I'm saying? We was out here at my table, one of the head tables. We was just, good cause, you know what I'm saying? The mood was right. Energy was good. I'm enjoying myself.
Indeed.
Nice music is playing. Oh my God, it's Davrielle. First thing in my mind, I wonder if she still remembers this letter I sent to her. Every time I would say this every year, every time I see Davrielle since we were 13, I would be like, does she remember that letter? But lo and behold, she comes, she's there. I get a tap on my shoulder. I look up. Oh, it's Davriel. Davriel, how you doing? We exchange, good energy, a key. At the end of the conversation, she says, and you know what? Save me a dance, Big Daddy.
Not
I said,
say Big Daddy.
oh,
Hand to the Lord.
pastor's daughter.
Did not
Big
say
Daddy, I know I
Big
look good,
Daddy.
but come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, we gonna dance, you know what I'm saying?
You know, like how in movies they have a director's cut? This is the director's cut from Drew's imagination.
Anyway, that's what I heard.
There was no Big Daddy at all.
That's what I heard. It was a bold move, so that's what I heard in my head. And we did dance. We had a good time.
Yeah, we did. We had a good time, and that was kind of the end of that, right?
We didn't see each other for like a whole year.
Yeah, so we didn't talk again until it was COVID 2020. Yeah. And funny enough, I wasn't even going to go. So a few things, like I said, I had a breakup in 2019, and it really hit me pretty hard. Part of it was I realized in hindsight it wasn't necessarily the relationship itself, but in 2019 I turned 29. Mm-hmm. And this is the part when it's like, if you don't get married before 30, you're more likely to get killed in a terrorist attack, or, like there were all these, as growing up in the 90s, mm-hmm. As a church girl, and mm-hmm. as somebody who was like, I'm waiting until I'm married, it was like somehow turning 30 and not having somebody special was like unfathomable. This was my worst fear coming to light, which, I mean, I should have been more creative with what my worst fear was. But, I felt like if it didn't happen now, it's never going to happen for me. And so there was a level of grief, I want to say, to that. One of my greatest regrets in life is that I was never 29. I was 28. And then I was almost 30, as far as I narrated it to myself. So that was kind of where I was coming from. Going into 2020, I had taken a step back from ministry. So I had stopped speaking engagements. I had stopped, I want to say, like officially volunteering at church, because I realized I needed time to grieve the version of my life that I thought I would have. And so I kind of scaled back. But I told God, I don't want to speak right now. I don't want to preach. I don't want to be in frontline ministry. But if you ask me to sing, I will say, okay. I said, if somebody else approaches me and asks me to sing, that's what I will do. And this is relevant because my dad asked me to come to church one night. He was like, Drew is doing a presentation for the church council. Of course, we were in lockdown at this time. Mm-hmm. So for a large portion of that, my dad was preaching his sermons from our house to live stream to church, and I was the one recording them. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so he asked us to come and listen to this presentation that you were going to do, talking about some ways that we could improve on the services at church. And just the production quality, all that stuff. And I really didn't want to go, but I was like, okay, fine. And I came out, and it was actually a really excellent presentation. And by the end of it, when we spoke to each other, you were like, I want to make a praise team for the millennials, and I'd like you to be on it. And I was like, okay. And I knew, I said yes immediately, because I knew that the deal that I had made with God was, I'm not going to put myself out there, but if somebody asks me to sing, I will sing. And so then obviously you asked me to join the praise and worship team. I think around that time, I was trying to buy a house. I sold my car, so I didn't have a ride. And so I would ride with you to practice, and we just got to talking and spending a lot of time together and getting to know each other. And then the rest is history.
Yeah. So I just want to put out there, this bad chick right here, she made the first two moves. I just want to put that up.
I did. I'll
and
take
it's so funny. I joke about it, right? I joke about it, but it's something to say, like, listen, hey, who knows, with just starting a conversation. And she didn't really put no real motive. And all jokes aside, it was just all genuine. Hey, you're a good person. Let's keep the communication going. So, I did feel, because honestly, I was very much embarrassed every time I see you, because in the back of my head, I'm like, she gonna always remember I sent this poem. So I don't think I was gonna be bold enough to like, hey, let's run her back or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And I realized that, but two things, it took me a while to become that person, right? Because I do think, and I don't want to niche myself too much, but a lot of the programming that I received as a young girl was like, don't make the first move. Men are supposed to be the pursuers. Don't talk to men who aren't talking to you. Even if you take like the relationship or dating expectation out of it, like literally just putting yourself out there. It took a while for me to be like, what is it? I mean, even when it came to making friends or getting a job, like what's the worst that could happen? They'll say no, or you know what I mean? And I feel like that was something that I had to walk into because I feel like a lot of women in general, Christian,
Mhm.
non-Christian, are waiting for Prince Charming to kick down the door. And it's like, guess what? If there's an attractive man at your office and you're intrigued by him, why don't you ask him to tell
Ask
you
him out.
more about his job? Or, why don't
Mm.
you approach him with a legitimate question, see if this is somebody you find interesting, and then that's an opportunity. But I feel like a lot of people limit themselves out of the fear of rejection, but it's like nothing ventured, nothing gained,
Mhm.
really, to me.
So for me, I would also just add on there. I don't think I would have been pre-COVID, pre finding self Drew, would not have been able to handle that
Mhm.
our whole encounter.
Mhm.
Not until I was able to rediscover who I was, found my identity in Christ, and really build on that, I was able to reciprocate the energy that you brought and actually turn it up. To be honest with you, to be honest, because I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
you were different for sure.
yeah, I think at that point too, I knew what I wanted and I knew
Mhm.
what I didn't want. So it was the process was much easier. We didn't date that long, and that's something we're gonna talk about too. But
Mhm.
we didn't date that long because I think at that point, we knew what we wanted. And sometimes I feel you have to. No, I don't feel. I feel like you have to go through certain phases of dating. And one of the things I used to mess up with dating was I felt like every person I dated, this has to be the one,
Mhm.
or I'm not going out with them. And it's like, no, like
You
go on
don't know if
dates
they're the
because you
one
don't even know
until you
what you
go out with
want.
them.
No, and then you don't want to end up deep in something and you realize, oh, I don't want this. But no, go on dates, go out, go to the movies. You don't got to spend a bunch of money. I know ladies like to get money spent on them, but as a guy, and that's something we got to talk about too. Inexpensive versus expensive dates. Like I feel like me as a dater, every gal ain't getting $300 plate dinners. I'm sorry, that ain't
Well,
happening.
I mean,
We gonna
we'll
go.
dig into that later.
We gonna go to some affordable places. And we live in the Bahamas. First of all, we could go to the beach. We could talk. No, I don't know.
I'm like,
Beach is a
stop,
little bit
Kevin.
more.
You took me to Great Cliff Boo Boo.
Like I said, at that point, I knew what I
You took
wanted.
me out.
I, I went in, but I'm just saying during that figuring out phase, like,
Yeah,
because dating could be expensive,
I think really the thing that I think a lot of guys miss when it comes to dates, creativity
Mhm.
can trump expense.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
creativity is impressive. Going on a date that you thought was different or interesting is always going to be exciting. And I feel like a lot of men limit themselves, like, oh, I'm not taking her to no fancy restaurant, so we're going to Wendy's. Or you know what I mean? Like there's space in between that, I
Mhm.
one of the dates that we went on, I mean, funny enough, I took you on that date, but we went on a picnic. We
Yeah.
went to John Walling's where they offer free samples and a
Yeah.
free tour. And then we had a picnic that I brought and we sat out there.
And you made the
Yeah, and
sandwiches.
we
It was
had the
lit.
sandwiches and it was memorable, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I feel that a
The one
lot
by
of
at the
people,
pool when you
yeah,
came
the
over,
first,
I
that
made
was
a
our
picnic at my house.
third or fourth day. You made a
Yeah.
picnic for us,
I
and
got
I
the
will
food.
never forget that because you
Mhm.
made it special. You set it up. So I think a little bit of creativity could go a long way in terms of saving cash, but also making a girl feel like she's special. Because what people get wrong when guys are like, I'm not spending no bunch of money on a first date, or I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. The money for some people, there are materialistic women who are like, rating how much money that you spent. But I think the expensive date or the really creative date, the thing that you put thought into, women just want to know that you think that they're special enough to
Mhm.
do something special for them. And so, like I said, I feel like it's not about the money. It's about feeling like my time is valued by you.
Okay, so let's stick in the dating realm because actually that's what I was gonna segment to dating. All
Mhm.
right. Before you get to marriage, before you get to deep relationships, you gotta date, right?
Mhm.
What do you feel is the goal of dating?
I had a mentor. She told me the purpose of dating is to gather data. So you're supposed to be
Mm.
gathering data on this individual. You're getting to know them. You're talking, which people don't do enough on dates, but you're
Mm.
talking. You're learning about them. What do they like? What do they dislike?
So no
You're
movies on the first date,
right. You're
gents.
experiencing what it's like to spend time with them. Do you have fun with them? Do you guys have chemistry? Is there a lot to talk about that you find in common? And so I think the purpose of dating is to gather data, and that's data on how attractive you find them, how much fun you have with them, what their goals are, what their visions are, what their core beliefs are, what their values are. Do you guys want to do the same thing in life? Or, I mean, do you want to accomplish the same things? And so I think a lot of people miss the point of dating. They skip the data, they get right to the romance. And unfortunately, they'll either end up in a relationship because just strictly off the chemistry, but not realizing that they're completely incompatible, or just, it fizzling and burning because you didn't actually get to know each other.
And I will emphasize my point of identity, right?
Mhm.
Because I feel all of that data does not matter if you
you don't know
aren't
who you
clear of who you are
Mhm.
and what you want. Because you can get that data. Because that dude can say, hey, I ain't looking for nothing serious right now, but I enjoying your time.
Mhm.
But if you don't have a sense of purpose and direction where you're
Mhm.
going, you don't know how much is that good time. Are you here for a good time or a
Yeah.
long time? You don't know. So I think that's a good point. Data for
Yeah.
dating, gathering data.
And you do have to know who you are, right?
Yeah.
Because it was Runaway Bride. I think I was trying to tell you this analogy the other day, but there's a scene where in the Runaway Bride, she's been engaged like 5 or 6 times, and every time when she's gonna walk down the aisle, she runs away, and she couldn't tell anybody why. She just would happen. And finally, the guy she ends up marrying, he was doing some research on her. So he talked to all of her ex-boyfriends and asked, how does she like her eggs? And each of them gave him a different answer.
Mhm.
One was like, she likes it scrambled, just like me. And the other one, she likes egg white omelets, just like me. And she likes this, she likes that. And he brought it to her like, you don't even know how you like your eggs. And I think that is definitely an overlooked part of the human experience. Like, people don't figure out who they really are. They're not comfortable being by themselves.
Mhm.
And so they don't ask themselves the question. You don't spend enough time with yourself to know, hey, am I a morning person? If I was left alone, if nobody was in my house, what would I do all day?
Mhm.
If I
Oh,
went
that
for a
alone time
drive,
too. Yeah.
if I went for a drive by myself to spend some time and think, where do I end up? Do I end up at the beach? Do I end up in the woods? Do I end up going to the mall to go shopping? Like, when you spend active, intentional time with yourself, you get to know who you are. And knowing who you are is the only way you'll know who could suit you.
I notice a lot of women don't like that though. I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of men, they're cool with that. I was cool with that. I dated myself, I guess. I didn't think about it in hindsight. Right? But I went to the movies by myself all the time. I went to dinner by myself all the time. Like I never thought nothing of it.
I
But
don't,
women are a little different
I
when it comes to that.
disagree. I disagree.
What you mean?
There are a lot of men who are not comfortable being alone.
Okay.
Um,
Well, yeah. Okay. I
yeah,
see where you're coming from.
no, it's just as well. Maybe it's 50-50, but
Mhm.
it wasn't until I think women are relational creatures,
Mhm.
a little bit more so than men. If you look at it, right?
Mhm.
The first thing God gave Adam was work.
Mhm.
He brought Eve into the world to be
To
with
support.
Adam.
Yeah.
Like, so
Mm.
people will call women desperate or thirsty. It's like love, relationship, connection, marriage. That's written into our DNA by God, a
Mhm.
longing to be with.
Mhm.
We were made to be with. We were not made to be alone. And I'm not saying that women can't be single and thriving and happy. But even that, when you see women who are single and thriving and happy, they have a core group of friends. They're close to someone. They're
Mhm.
sharing their life with somebody because we were built for community in a different way. And I think too, it's like depending on the era that you grew up in, especially in the Bahamas, even to this day, there's a level of stigma and social pressure to be in a relationship, to be married, to have children
Mhm.
for women. And so it could feel it's not just a desire, like the desire is over here, but the social expectation is over here. And you almost feel like this pressure, like I gotta get it done. So it's like being alone looks like a bad thing. And I think it wasn't until like I had, I think three of my friends went off to school. Three of my closest friends went off to school at the same time. At that time, I really didn't have that many friends here. And my cousin, who I was close to, she left. So it wasn't until I was forced to be by myself that I realized, hey, I could go to the movies by myself. Hey, I could go to dinner by myself. It's not so bad, you know? But I remember I said this to a male coworker of mine, and quote, he said, I would rather put rollers in my hair and walk down Bay Street butt naked than go to the movies by myself. So it's like, it's not just women, you know. I think you have to realize it's okay. It's almost like a threshold you have to cross over. And once you cross over that
You
threshold, it's
realize,
like, I'm good company, you know. I like myself.
awesome. So, okay, so we understand, okay, the goal of dating, right? Now, the process of dating, you're going to go through the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So, we established the concept of dating, right? Is to gather data, right? Now, let's just say, what are some of the tells that, you know what, this is going in the right direction? And then we'll flip it in terms of the wrong direction. But the right direction, I'd like to hear what you said, and I'll chime in.
Oh, wow. Hmm. I think, and actually this was, I I realized that our relationship was intentional, but it wasn't a lot of pressure either.
Mhm.
You know, I think in the past I had intentional relationships that were like, okay, we have 60 days to find out if we want to get married, like, or, you know, on to the next. And it was going somewhere. We were, like I said, we were having conversations. The conversations were organic. We would talk for hours
Mhm.
before we actually even went on a date. You would call
Yeah.
me that time and follow me home, and we talked, I think, until like 2 a.m.
Perspective, that
You know,
sounds mad crazy. I followed you home.
you followed me home. Well, I mean,
We were
you
leaving
were
an
trying to
event.
you were trying to protect
It was at
me,
night.
quote unquote,
And
and show off what a good man you are.
I made sure she got home straight. The pastor's daughter, I had to make sure she got home
But
straight.
yeah, I feel like feeling like you could talk to somebody indefinitely
Mhm.
and about anything, that was a tell for me, like, oh wow, you know, this is a good vibe. Separately, for the first time with you, I felt free to be my whole self.
I was gonna be, yeah, that's what I was gonna go with too.
Okay, so let
No,
me
no, 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 you keep going.
yeah, I felt completely at ease. What would happen is I felt like a lot of people, because to some degree, you know, I was well known for different reasons. I felt like guys came to me with a version of me already in their mind.
Mm.
And if I really liked him, I felt pressure to live up to that version of him that he had in his imagination at the expense of me being myself. And
Wow.
so even if I was enjoying spending time with somebody, I wouldn't necessarily tell the kind of jokes that I would tell you, or
Mhm.
be silly, or just be free, or be honest. Like, I don't like that, you know? And so, yeah, I
Yeah,
felt completely free to be myself.
our energy led to that too. Because I would say the same thing. I feel like I was able to really put my guard down and genuinely be myself. Because I think there was a turning point. I think it was like our first or second date. You was playing J. Cole in the car, and I was like, "What you know about this?" I was like, "Wait, what?" Diarrhea, rapping it word for word. I was like, "Oh, she cool. She
Love
not no
J.
typical.
Cole.
All right, she cool. All right." So I was like, "All right, I ain't gotta be as put on with her." And more, the more we hang out, we had so much similarities too. To be honest with you, from music choice to movies and things of that nature, interests. I feel like the more we communicated, the more we realized, wait, you like this too? Almost to the point where I was like, dang, you like literally everything I like. It was mad crazy.
Yeah. And I think there was just an ease to it.
Right.
Um,
And that's what I always tell people too. Like I do feel, I don't know, I could be wrong. This is from my personal experience, but also from actually most of my friends, if not all my close friends, are married now. It was easy. Like it
mhm,
wasn't a lot of friction off
mhm,
rep. You can
mhm.
get friction, but at the start,
Yeah.
if we fighting at the start, I don't know where this going. Like we can't be off rip arguing.
I will say my version of it is love is easy, relationships are hard.
Mm.
Um, because if the process of falling in love, if this is supposed to be the best time of your relationship and y'all can't get along,
What we doing?
I don't know, you know, and I'm not saying that you can't have fights when you're dating, but I'm saying high level, the vibes should be pretty, you know, easy at the beginning at least. And then separately, we wanted the same things out of life, you know what I mean? We were when I talk about my vision of the future and you talk about your vision of the future, they sounded very similar, you know? And again, that takes courage, right? Because what I could do is you give a version of the future and I'm like, yeah, yeah, that sounds good. Versus no, I was at a point in my life where I'm keeping it 100. This is what I want out of life.
Yeah.
And then you were like, this is what I want out of life. And we're like, hey,
Oh,
that can work together,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And my unofficial test is whether or not you should be with somebody. Do you admire them? Do you respect them? Would you want your kid to be like them? If you had a son or a daughter and you wanted them to be something, is this person that you're looking at somebody you would want them to be like? Do you have admiration for who they are as a person? And that's a big one because character is woefully overlooked, right? I think when women talk about standards, it really gets on my nerves because people be like, oh, I'm not dating a man who doesn't make, you know, 6 figures. And I'm like, but you will date a man who cheats on you. Like the hard line is on his income, but not how he treats you. You will date a guy who lies on his job. You will date a guy who curses at his mother. You know what I mean? And I feel like people, like, we need to get real, you know? What is this person's moral character like? What is the fiber of who they are like? And because that's what you're really going to live with for the rest of your life. And then finally, my test is, would going to the food store or washing the dishes or mowing the lawn with this person be infinitely more fun? If this person makes the most basic task of life more fun, the thought of doing it with them, I think that tells you, you know, whether or not this is the kind of relationship you want to be in, because you are going to be doing
A lot of
basic
that
tasks of life for
every
the
day.
rest of your life. And so if being with them doesn't add a thrill to your everyday,
I
then
don't
I
know.
probably wouldn't do it.
Right. Yeah. If you got to do a bunch of things just to hang out and have fun together versus just we on the couch, we chilling, we in the backyard, we talking, and we having just as much fun as if we would have went on a trip.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big tell. Now, all of this sounds all good and dandy, but do you feel, I feel like I know the answer, but do you feel like you had any almost missed it moments when it came to me and you dating?
Yeah.
Like you almost missed it.
Oh, yeah. So for you, what was, I guess, some of those moments or some of those tells that you were like, this is going to work out?
I knew what I wanted at the end of the day. I knew marriage was always something I strive for, almost a default, like I said, because that kind of limited my dating experience in a way. But I knew I wanted to be married. I knew I had this vision in my head, interestingly enough. It was honestly right before we dated, I had like this dream where I would be sitting in this front row and I'd be looking at this lady on stage who is my wife, just giving like a keynote or something. I'm like, hey, that's my wife up there. Dog. And it's so funny because I had that moment with you recently when you did a speaking engagement. But it was just the type of woman that I know that I needed, someone, an encourager. I am a very outspoken person. I am a very high energy person, sometimes difficult to work with. I know I needed someone who could balance that off, who don't necessarily is rah-rah with me, but it kind of bring me back down the level. I feel like you are that. And honestly, the more stuff we were dating, I was like, wait, you're not annoyed by this? Like, you're not, I know you good. Like, you just made me feel so comfortable. I was like, wow, I've never felt this experience with somebody else. And I, you know, this is one of the, I was like superficial moments, but one of the moments in our relationship was, I was like, all right, God, this going a little good. This going a little good. I need to know if this girl is the one for me. I'm not gonna lie. And I asked God for something so off the wall. Well, in hindsight, it might have been that off the wall, but I was like, there's this particular song by this group from Out of Eden, a group that me and my sister used to listen to growing up. Random, very random song. I say, if I play this song in this car and she starts singing along, that's my sign from you that you telling me this is the girl. And we driving. And I think it was about 2 drives I didn't do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Because I was like, I don't know if I want to know the answer yet. And I did it. And I played the song. And could you believe from the intro to the outro, Gabrielle sang
Little did you know.
this song word for word. And I'm like, oh my God.
I am the last out
This
of
is not a
Eden
drill,
fam.
ladies and gentlemen. This is not a drill. Buckle up, buckle up. We going for the ride. And for me, that was like God patted me on the back. And I feel like, and you had one of those moments too.
Oh yeah.
But that was kind of like for me. But just in terms of practicality, just understanding what my standards are, understanding the type of home that I wanted my wife to come from, to be honest with you as well. Because I experienced different type of households with women, and I realized there were particular homes that I had more success with than other ones because of honestly the nature of how I was brought up with. We was just more common in terms of relatability. I wanted someone who was purpose driven, who wanted big things out of life because I'm not a small minded person. So I needed someone to match that energy. And a lot of things when I would talk to you about dreams and visions, you know, you were encouraging about that as well. And I just every time we met, there was just a breaking down of the ice and sculpting of something that I knew was gonna be, you know, last forever. So yeah. But let me ask you this question. All of this stuff sounds all good and dandy. Was there almost missed it moment between me and you where you feel like you almost might have missed the strain?
Oh yeah, there were a few, and I want to say mostly at the beginning. You know, I mentioned the fact that our parents are friends,
Right.
to the point where I called your mom auntie, you called my mom auntie, and I'm like, I'm batting zero on these relationships. If I go out with Drew and it doesn't work out, this is going to cause a family rift. And I'm like, he's such a good guy that everyone is going to conclude that I'm crazy if this doesn't work out. Like, before all the other guys, it's like, well, he probably was this, but it's like, I know Drew is a good dude. So if this doesn't work out, I'm going to be the crazy one. And it felt like a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
I do think you recall our first date. I asked you to pick me up from down the street.
Crazy work.
Because I did not want my parents to
This
see who I
girl
was
asked me
going
to
out
pick
with.
her up at night, by the way.
I was gonna drive
She
to
said pick her up
to
down
the
the
park,
street. I was like, who
park
do you
my
think I
car, and then
am?
we could go together. But anyway,
No, I came to her
but
front
yeah,
door.
I felt a lot of pressure for it to work out,
Mhm.
and it was like almost like maybe it's safer not to go down this road. And then too, it was like there were, I guess, two of the bigger things. One was you weren't like the other guys that I dated. You weren't necessarily leading Bible studies. As far as I was concerned, you were R&B singer.
Mhm.
And
It was
and then I was like, you just had your little come to Jesus moment, and now you want to date a church girl, and now you want to be
Yes.
whatever,
Yes.
And so I was skeptical. And then, I mean, I'll just keep it 100. You were also about 60 pounds heavier at that point. And I was
Mhm.
like, I don't really know if I like big guys, I I don't know if this is my thing. And so obviously you were very charming and good looking, but you were heavier. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I was like, is he gonna lose weight? Is he gonna live a long time? I'm sorry. I mean, all of these
I mean,
things,
it's a real question
all
you
of
gotta
these things
ask.
were going through my head. And it's like, I never dated anybody chubby before. And actually, funny enough, when I was on the
Oh, that's
fence,
cute. You said chubby.
there you go.
You know it was one of chubby.
In my in my conversation with myself, I was like, Dav, he's not your type. You've never dated anyone big. And
You
then
always have the athletes.
I
Yeah.
answered myself, well, none of those niggas ever treated me right. So maybe my type is the problem. And maybe I should give this guy a chance. I was like, my type treats me bad. Like my type ain't nice.
Right.
Them niggas don't like me. So I was like, maybe it's time to give somebody else a chance. And sure enough, like we went out and we just had so much fun. And like it was just such a vibe. And I'm like, look at my little chubby boyfriend.
You know, it's so funny. We was laughing a lot too. That was another thing. That was one of my biggest things too. I feel because I'm a funny dude. You know, I tend to make my dates laugh way more than they made me laugh. I felt every girl I dated, they was belly busting, but they never made me like really laugh.
Huh.
And I'm like, this girl is hilarious. Like she's really funny. And I was like, wow, okay, I could do this.
And I mean, shout out to my friends too, because I had a girlfriend.
I wanted to say, talk about the
I had
night.
For better or worse, we started dating in February.
Right.
So by the time we were going on our second date, our first date, I had a really good time. It was a lot of laughs, a lot of vibes, but I was like, I don't know if I feel romantic. I just had fun.
Mhm.
And she was like, girl, I have seen the type of guys that you have dated. This is a high quality man. You need to go out with him again.
Who's this friend?
This is my friend Dom. Shout out to
Dom.
Dominique. And she was like, this is the kind of guy who deserves a chance. I had another friend who was like, if it's a really nice guy, give him at least 2 dates. And my new rule is actually 3 dates, because in the space between our first date and our third date, the way that I felt about you blossomed very quickly.
Mm.
But and so yeah, I would say just be open. Like the first date don't have to be butterflies and fireworks. Give it 3 dates. If you're not feeling anything by the third date, move along. But you got to give it a chance.
So let me ask you a question. When do you feel that casual dating needs to become intentional dating?
I think after about 3 months of seeing somebody.
Oh, the comments are gonna be crazy. 3 months?
I didn't say you have to get married. I'm saying, but I feel like after 3 months of going on dates, I feel like we should be boyfriend and girlfriend. If you haven't concluded, and I mean, again, unless you're like 15 or 16, but if you are in your 20s,
I mean, yeah,
if you're
late
in your
20s,
20s and you've been consistently seeing somebody for 3 months, and I'm not even saying it has to be like, will you be my girlfriend? Will you be my boyfriend? But I just feel like, okay, after about 3 months, you start introducing them to the family, bringing them places. I do think, what are we doing? Like, why are we casually dating indefinitely?
You're gonna stir the pot, and I'm gonna stir it even further, because there are situations we know where people are dating years before marriage. Like, what's your take on that? I have my take. Do you want me to say my take?
Yeah.
I generally, okay, for me, and like you say, it varies with age. Early teens,
right. If
early
you're in
20s,
college,
you got time.
Yeah.
You're talking late 20s, 30s, moving forward. When you date, I feel, me personally, I get ruffle feathers. When you dating 5, 10 plus years, like what y'all doing? Like what we do? You be earning a degree in dating? Like I don't understand. And and that's the thing I always tell my female friends, dog. Dudes, do not be tricked. We know what we want, dog. Men know what they want. They either know that they want to live a life and be in the streets, or they know that they want to be in a relationship. And then there's another level. They know that they want to be in a relationship with you. So like, do not mistake men indecisiveness. We know what we generally want. And if we dating a certain amount of years, I can say, because I feel like everybody can come up, but I'm sorry. If you could get a college degree in your dating experience, you have been dating too long. It don't take us that much to figure out, oh no, this guy. Because one thing about men, when we find something we want, we don't want no other nigga want it either. We don't want no other guy want it. It's almost like, I gotta lock this down quick.
I found a treasure.
If I don't lock this down, another dude could possibly swipe her. So we know when we find a treasure, we like, we gotta figure out this, because ain't no other dude can be taking my gal.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of women get mixed up on that. And I always wanted to say that on a public platform. Do not let these dudes give you a bachelor's and a master's and a doctor's degree in dating. It do not make sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm careful about putting timelines, especially on getting married. That's everybody's
No, I'm talking
business.
about, right.
But
I'm talking about
the reason that I said
level.
Either by 3 months, I feel like you should achieve exclusivity. This is the person that you're dating. You could be dating other people up until then, but if we going out for 3 months, you don't know if you like me or not. That's a lie. Men like you or they don't. That's it. Women can be won over. Men cannot be won over. They're interested or they are not.
Period.
They want to be with you or they are not. If some guy is talking to you for a year and doesn't know if he wants you to be his girlfriend, he does not like you like that. He might like you a little bit. He might like what you do for him, but he doesn't like you like that.
And let me put this into context. There are situations, I'm not talking like there are situations where work has this person out of the country or someone's trying to get their degree or
Right.
doctorates and stuff like that. And it just ain't working out at this point in time. I get that part. But when we're talking about serious commitment, and then honestly, too, if you even take it up another level, we have situations where people get engaged. Okay, they get to that next level and then they're engaged for like
75 years.
10,
Yeah.
20 years, 5, 10 plus years. Like what we
Yeah, I
doing?
don't know. I'm not, again, I want to be careful because everybody's life is different. But in my experience, when a man really likes you, he will maneuver accordingly and he
Mhm.
will lock you down.
Mhm.
Like at least this is my girlfriend. Stay over here. Or at least, some sort of maneuver to say, I want to be with you. Or like articulating, I see a future with you. And I think if somebody's not doing that after a period of time, and I'm not saying at 3 months he has to say, I see this going the distance, but I am saying at 3 months, there should be some sort of semblance of a relationship taking place. And then low key, like I think, within a year, he should know and articulate, hey, I see us going toward marriage, or I don't. I don't see this going in that direction. And that's a hard conversation to have.
Do
But
you
I also think, like you said, if you see, like, just think if you had a dream car, right?
Mhm.
And you had the means to purchase said dream car, like, or even when people could get a Rolex, right? You have to join the wait list to get a
You join the
Rolex.
wait list.
When they call you and they tell you the Rolex is ready,
You better
you
go
have to go and you have to buy it now.
now.
And I think it's that way with true love. And I think it's that way. I think when men find the treasure, that's the
Mhm.
word, right? In the Bible, they talk about the treasure. And the man found a treasure and he sold everything that he had and went to buy the field where he found this
Mhm.
treasure. Because if a man sees you as his treasure, then yeah, he's gonna make moves to have you. And I think when a man sees you as a trinket, he could play games, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or he can wait and see you. And a lot of times these guys will date you for 2, 3, 4 years without any sort of commitment because they're hoping somebody better will come along. And it's just
Well,
like,
mhm.
if somebody treasures you, they're going to try to lock you down. And if you're not in a relationship where somebody treasures you, what are you doing? Because it's only going to get worse.
I think it's fair. Scarcity mindset
Yeah,
too,
but
because you feel like, hey, if I didn't put all this time into this person and it ain't going right or whatever, if I leave this, I gotta start
yeah, but
all over again.
if he doesn't treasure you in the honeymoon phase, what do you think he's gonna do when life starts to get real?
Ugh.
That's for me. So, and that was something, that was a conclusion I had to come to. I had a cousin of mine who was not a Christian, and she hit me with some real information. But she was just like, "I don't date men who don't really like me.
Mhm.
Why are you dating men who don't really like you? They need
Mm.
to baseline
Baseline.
really likes me, because what are we doing?"
Mhm.
And I think that when I had that paradigm shift, I had better results in life. But you have to try, like, if you're going to be with somebody, he got to be all in, because life is full of ups and downs. He needs to be enthusiastic about you.
Facts.
That's my 2 cents. What does the reality of love look like versus the fantasy that you had in your mind?
Ooh. The reality of love versus the fantasy I had in mind. And that's a good one. We being real, right?
Uh-huh.
The reality of love. Okay, the fantasy was that, respectfully,
Mhm.
every day was gonna be butterflies. I'm gonna always feel like it's the first date energy. Don't get me wrong, that's the majority of the time.
It's okay, honey.
Because I know you feel the same way about me. So if we being real, people who are in real relationships, every day is not gonna feel like it's the first date, the first butterfly. It's just not.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But the reality is when you are in a committed relationship, you still keep your commitments and you still treat that person. And then boom, that moment comes back around and
Mhm.
it's a cycle. I thought it was just going to always be like that. I thought it was going to always be the high.
Mhm.
And I experienced that before we got married. So like you say, sometimes it's not always the best. And then you got to see the character that comes out in that person, the frustration, something could happen, a death in the family, a friend, a loss of a friend, or something like that. You know what I mean? And you get to see the different characteristics that comes up because at this point in time, I can't put on this I'm perfect for you type of energy and keep this facade. I'm
Mhm.
hurting. I'm
Mhm.
going through this and I
Yeah.
don't have the capacity to like be this bubbly person for you right now, you know?
Mhm.
So I think it was that concept of like it's always gonna be
Magic.
dandelions and magic. When it's like, no, it's not always like that. But you are committed to this person. You have
Hmm.
a covenant, and so you nurture and you stay committed, and then boom, that feeling comes back around, and it comes back around, and it comes back around. I think that was more so of like for me.
I think that's for real.
Yeah.
Do you think commitment is lacking in today's dating world or relationship world?
Oh, for sure. Commitment and trust. I think the lack of commitment is due to the lack of trust. It's just so much different, elements and to be honest, access that allows for whether it be just not wanting to be committed in a relationship because there's so much options. I could go on Instagram and you can
Hmm.
see,
Oh
you
yeah,
could
the
swipe,
FOMO. Yeah.
go what?
Oh no, no, like fear of missing out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fear of missing out. You know what I mean? It's like, wait, if I commit to this gal, then bro, there's always gonna be someone that is better than your spouse. That's good. Right. I'm not Chris Brown. I'm
I'm
sorry.
insulted,
I
Mouse.
if a better looking dude come around, as it is same thing. You know what I mean? It's always gonna be someone who's seemingly on the surface at least
Hmm.
more attractive. But there's only a finite amount of times when someone who is really connected to you and has an alignment that just matches
Hmm.
that don't come around all the time. You know what I mean? And I feel like because we are in a world of infinite options,
Hmm.
we feel like it's always something is gonna come up. You know what I mean? And it could be the case, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like once you found that person that truly understands you, who's going to help you, even in your pursuit of your purpose, who's not determined to pull you away from that, and who's actually nurturing and watering that, man, that's a plus, bro.
Oh
That is
yeah.
a plus. What do you think?
I think commitment is overlooked, sorry, flex. Because when I look at the most successful people in life, when I look at the people with the happiest marriages,
Mm.
they committed to each other. And whatever that looks like, just if that looks like hair loss, money loss, change in appearance, change in career status, change in whatever, like there's a power in committing to this person because what people take for granted too, right? There was the way that, and I think I told you this, there was the way that I loved you when we got married. And now there's the way that I love you after you've been my husband. And it's like, love is both something that happens to you, but it's also something that you cultivate. And commitment is the ground where you can plant the love so that it can grow into something bigger and better. And what happens is, like if you think of your love or your affection or your commitment as a seed, you pull it up, you put it down, you let it start to grow, and then you pull it up, and you pull it down, you let it start to grow, and then you pull it up because you're like, maybe there's better soil over here. Maybe there's better soil over here. If you don't choose a place to plant your affections and your commitment, then it doesn't have the capacity to grow into anything. And so I think it's really overlooked. And I think a lot of men take it for granted because they have so many options in particular. But it's like most of the millionaires in the world
Yeah.
are married.
Hmm.
Most of the successful families in the
Billionaires.
world
Yep.
value marriage. Rich people across the board, every society in the world are married. And it's not just it just so happens to be that way that people wanted to marry them because they were rich. No, it's like there's a level of success that comes from being able to commit to things, whether that is your marriage or work or a network of people or a church or a community. So I think commitment is a flex, especially if you find the right person to commit to.
Mm. That's so true. That's so true. Um, before we get into the game, what would you say has been one of our strongest assets? Um, and this is off the cuff, but one of our strongest assets to making keeping this thing going.
I think we were privileged. You mentioned it at the beginning, right? What a lot of people take for granted is we know how to be married. And when I say we know how to be married, it's almost instinctive. Like you know how to shave, or like I know how to do my hair. I We had the privilege of watching happily married people up close by way
Mhm.
of our parents in their house, day in and day out.
Right.
There's a second nature level of information in terms of how we treat each other,
Yeah.
how we navigate conflict, the way that I carry myself in public, the way that things that I do to cater to you, things that you do to cater to me. there were things that we learned, and our version of normal includes two parents who were married to each other. I think people who've not seen a happy or a successful marriage up close struggle. I think they are at a disadvantage. And not that our relationship is without struggle, but there's no point of reference, right?
Yeah.
Either people in my family don't get married, I don't know what a happy marriage looks like, or people in my family who are married are very unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't know how to make that. And what I would say is, if that is your experience, take it upon yourself to find happily married people. Ask them what they do.
Yep.
Get close to them. Observe them. Hang out just once or twice. You know what I mean? Or hang out, learn things. There's so many young men who were fatherless and didn't have positive male influence who started hanging out with my father and started watching the way that he interacted with his family. And they articulated, in later years, this taught me what I wanted. This taught me how to treat my wife and how to treat my kids. And so I would say, observe people who are, in as much as you can tell, genuinely happy in their relationship. Observe the things that they do. Love. We act like you have to get a license to drive. You have to get a license to do so many things. To get a marriage license, you don't have to take a test. You just have to have $100 and not be married before.
Wow.
And so I think it is a skill. Being in a committed long-term relationship is a skill set that you either pick up or you actively learn. And so I think a lot of people take it for granted. And in our case, we were really blessed.
For sure. I think for me, one of the biggest tools, and just to tag on what you said, I feel a lot of people lack relationship mentors. I feel like too. Before I give my spiel, but I feel like that's so important. Like having references, point of references, and also people that you see are having a good time, hang out with them, go to lunch with them, double date with them, and not just the ones in your peer, like older set too, because they gonna have the wisdom, and you ask them questions, you know what I mean? You getting, the answers to the test early, like do that.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like forgiveness. I feel like that's one of the biggest things in our relationship that has been the most fruitful, because generally speaking, like love is an endless act of forgiveness. And it's so important that we exercise that, because every now and then we get on each other's nerve. Every now and then I do something that's going to bother her. You know what I mean? But being quick to forgive, something that she does in her family is like, even if we married each other, she'll come and touch me or hug me or something like that. I wasn't used to that too at the beginning, but now I'm like that now too with her. I'll touch her just to let her know, hey, I still love you. Don't worry. I might be a little bit mad. You know what I mean? I think that was something that was very helpful is very helpful in our relationship. But yeah, forgiveness, quick to forgive. I think that's been one of our biggest assets in our relationship.
Yeah. I think remembering the plot, that the goal is to be together. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Not necessarily the goal is for me to be right or you to be right. The goal is for us to be happy together. I could take an L every now and again for us to move forward, and vice versa. And I think people talk about the fact that marriage is one of those things that God uses to refine your character, because you're really negotiating life. You have a life. I had a life. You had a life. When we got married, we put those lives together. It became our life. And now, day in and day out,
we had 30 years of experience of life
yeah.
separately and single, and putting that together.
Yeah, and we have to negotiate what our life looks like.
Yeah. And then too, lastly, I would say too, is just the fact that this person is your friend. This is your best friend. Like, do you want to be mad at them? Do you want to hurt them? I always, for me personally, I always revert to that. Doing this, do I want to do, is this going to hurt my friend? Like, if you even just break that down to that part, do I want to see them sad? I feel like that also puts a lot of things into perspective in terms of my actions. If I want to stay angry at you or mad at you, or if someone is putting me in a compromising position, I got to think, is my friend going to like this? You know what I mean? No, I got to remove myself from this. That's a good point of reference. Now, to the point that I've been waiting for too as well. I want to play a little game.
Okay.
I've come up with this game, and maybe we keep this on for the rest of our guests too in different episodes, right? But I'm calling this game Healthy or Hazardous.
Okay.
All right? Or Healthy or Hazard. All right? I'm going to have a list of questions, and you're going to either say healthy or hazard.
Okay.
All right. And if you want to give your explanation as to why, is why. All right.
Okay.
First one. All right. Ready? You and this person, you're dating, having a good time, and they just stop communicating for like a week. But then they pick it up after a week like nothing happened. Healthy or hazard?
Did he die?
No,
Was he in a coma?
No.
Was he abducted by aliens?
No, he was not. He just stopped talking
Was
to you
he
for a
a
while.
prisoner
He
of
just stopped
war?
talking for a week and then he pick it back up the
Did
next
his
week.
mama die?
Healthy or hazard?
Hazard.
Why is it hazard? Maybe I was traveling at business.
One of my mentors told me something very simple. If a man likes you, he wants to talk to you. He wants to hear your voice. He wants to spend time with you. Somebody who could inconspicuously, and it's also rude. Let's just be honest. Ghosting is rude.
For sure.
It is entirely rude. Whether men do it, women do it. You're talking to somebody and you suddenly stop talking to them, you need to have died. At least for me to give you another chance. And that's the thing too, right? Stop letting people treat you badly. Ghosting somebody is treating them badly. Unless they had some sort of sincere physical or emotional crisis.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy.
They don't really like you like that.
All right, moving on. You're texting, talking on the phone, but yet to have gone on a date. Healthy or hazard?
How long?
Let's say y'all been talking for a month and y'all just texting, talking, month or two, texting, talking.
We live in the same country?
Live in the same country. Same city.
I'd call it a hazard.
No, I'm definitely calling hazard. Why we ain't gone out yet?
Yeah, why you don't want to see me out? Like,
for me, I feel like you just killing time.
Right, and that's it.
You someone who I can just talk to on the side.
Entertainment.
Entertainment.
And when you feel insecure,
yeah,
you didn't get enough likes on your pictures today. You want her to make you feel good about yourself.
You know that person can reply on the DMs on that picture. You know they're gonna like.
All right, yeah. Or she didn't get enough likes on her photo today. So all of a sudden, she wants to be entertained.
Hey, big
no. I feel like that's using people, to be honest.
All right. They are still close with their ex.
Hell no. No.
Hell
No.
No. They had a good, they had a good relationship. They're still cordial. They a kiki every now and then. No.
Was the relationship in like grade 2? No. Okay. And this is a hot topic for me, right? And again, I'm a lady who likes men, so I've only dated men. The men that I know who I dated who remained close to their ex-girlfriends kept that door open on purpose. Whether consciously or subconsciously, they kept that door open. There were things that they did for them. There was emotional labor that those women did. There was, I want to say in many cases, sexual labor that those women were doing. And this, I mean, for me, in one particular case, it was, I realized my appearance made a lot of girls upset. And the fact that people were, these exes who were friends, were so upset that he had a new girlfriend, or you know what I mean? It clicked to me that this boundary isn't closed. And so I think a lot of people stay close with their ex because it's very difficult to cut. It's difficult to cut people out of your life. Yeah. But in a lot of cases, they're relying on them for something. Yeah. And it's just like, it's like trying to plant something where something is already growing. Like, nah. Yeah,
that could be a great one. But if and sometimes everybody don't have a bad breakup. It's just you're not compatible, right? But y'all still cool. But yeah, y'all still a kiki and all that stuff. No, because it's gonna bring insecurity. It's not gonna be a good look, I feel. Right. I'm putting hazard on it.
I think you could be friendly, but I don't think y'all need to be going to the movies.
This one is funny. All right, here we go. Healthy or hazard? They don't post you on social media. That's the grid or the story. Healthy or hazard?
I think neither. I think that could be healthy.
No, you got to choose one. Healthy or hazard?
Are we dating? Are we?
Y'all together? Y'all in a relationship? They don't post you. Healthy or hazard?
I would say until you're married, healthy. You didn't make the grid until we got engaged.
Fair enough.
And you were so lucky to make a story before
I'm laughing because she know how I felt. I was actually like that too. You were the one who was like, why you don't post me?
No.
What was it? No, I'm
No.
talking about post-marriage. No,
Oh,
pre-marriage.
post-marriage.
She had a hard
Like
cut.
I said, yeah.
She had a hard, we're not making the grade.
Post-marriage.
Post-marriage. It was
Post-marriage, I
like,
find it annoying because I feel like people post what's important to them, and being married is more permanent. But I think
at the time I wasn't posting because I wasn't posting like that. And then
Right.
two, it was like I was doing more of my business stuff. So I was like,
yeah.
But now my life is infused.
Yeah, I think social media is a gray area. I think everybody can do what they want to do.
I say healthy and to an extent. You still gotta, it's an anniversary.
Yeah, and
A
that's my
birthday,
thing.
a
It's
special
like
moment.
if
You gotta
he's been
post.
married 15 years, got 5 kids, and there is no sign of them on his social media,
Hazard.
but you do see his whole basketball shoe collection every time he go play golf with his friend. Like flag on the play, flag on the play.
All right, we sticking to social media. They still have photos of their ex on their page. Healthy or hazard?
Hazard.
Nah, we ain't even gotta go into that hazard. You still got your ex on your page, bro. If we in a relationship,
unless that's the last picture you have with your dad, with your dad Grammy.
Right,
like,
right, exactly,
no,
exactly.
No, take it down.
Other than that, hazard. Sticking to social media, they post you everywhere, but y'all have not had to talk yet. As in, they posting you on the grid, they posting you in the stories, but y'all ain't had to talk like that. Be in a relationship.
I feel like posting somebody is saying that I'm in a relationship with them. So
healthy or hazard?
Healthy. I'm all right with it.
I don't think you heard this question properly. They are posting you. Me and you just started talking.
Oh.
And you posting me on social
media.
Like
last week or?
I mean, like, let's say we've been dating a month, but me and you ain't like official.
Hazard.
But you posting me on the grid. You posting the story.
Hazard.
I'm like, nah, I can't do that.
Hazard.
Okay, here we go. They want to keep finances completely separate. Healthy or hazard?
Dating or married?
However you want to put it. Marriage.
I mean, those are two different things. Married, that's a hazard for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think getting married is putting your life together, and your life includes your finances.
I think this one comes with a stipulation. Like, what if I'm out here and you didn't have nothing? I mean, I'm just saying, a celebrity versus someone who we just met.
I mean, I think if there is a large...
If you know Punk, hello, we want prenup. We want prenup. Yeah. No, I'm playing.
Okay. For me, again, like I said, even sometimes in the vows, right, they would say, and all my worldly goods, everything that I have in this world is me and you. We putting it together. Now, if you were a multimillionaire and this person...
By the way, those vows aren't in the Bible.
And this person has $20,000 to their name, then I think there's a level of wisdom that you have to proceed with. And again, I think if there's a huge disparity in terms of the wealth that you're coming into a marriage with, I actually do think there's a place for a prenup. But if I have $20 and you have $20,
right,
and you want us to keep... You want your $20 for you and I keep... No, I don't think that's a thing. I think being married is putting everything that you have together. This is the thing, right?
Agreed.
When you talk about keeping finances separate, and even for a long time, I wasn't pro prenup, but because it's trying to limit exposure in an institution that is inherently supposed to expose you. The notion of getting married is becoming one person. And sharing your life completely. And that's the good, the bad, in between. One of my girlfriends, she was getting married to a gainfully employed young man, but he had college loans. And she was like, well, now am I supposed to help him pay those college loans? Because I don't have any. And I'm like, are you going to marry him? Yes. So it's y'all's money now. And the bills go where the bills go. Like, so I think people do not have a team. You have to have a team mentality when it comes to getting married, and you have to be willing to expose yourself too. And so I think it's dangerous.
All right. Healthy or hazard? After every argument, they buy you a gift.
That sounds like fun. I mean, did we fix the problem, or are you trying to distract me?
After every argument, they buy you a gift. I see what she's doing. And she's trying to think.
Can we make this a tradition in our I'm gonna go with hazard because I feel like it's trying to distract from the actual issue.
I got you. All right, cool.
What
After
do you think?
uh, after every argument,
Yeah.
hazard.
And
It's
unsustainable.
hazardous to
Unless
my
you
bank
buying me
account
a
and
O.
my wallet.
Henry
Right.
every time we fight.
Right. After healthier hazard, they need a cooling off period before talking things through.
Healthy.
I think it's healthy.
'Cause that's
she's
me.
big. She's big on that. I'm more like, hey, let's address it now. Let's talk. And she's like, no, I need to
No, because you could
be
say
in my head and think some things through.
and you could say a lot of things that you regret when you're mad just to be mean,
Yeah.
honestly.
And we've always had better conversations once things are cool off and then we come back. Healthier hazard, they have passwords that you don't know.
Hazard,
Hazard?
period.
Do you know how many passwords? You probably do. Fair enough.
And I don't use them, in fairness. But I think you can't have anything to hide. Like I said, being married is being fully exposed. You really shouldn't have any secrets.
Healthier hazard, they have a close friend of the opposite sex that they talk to daily.
Hazard.
And this is both heterosexual, by the way.
Hazard.
Hazard?
Mhm.
All right, cool.
I think you can have friends of the opposite sex and you can maintain those relationships. Talking every day.
I'm going hazard as well.
Diet.
Look at me. I'm your best friend now.
Yeah.
Healthier hazard, they tell a small lie to avoid conflict.
Hazard. Despite the fact that I'm guilty of that.
I want to say. Yeah, I would say the same way that you put it. Hazard, but I don't think I've done that actually.
Yeah, no, you're very honest.
Yeah,
to
I
a
don't
fault.
think I do that. Yeah.
Honesty is always the best policy.
So
Because if you tell a small
hazard.
lie, then everything that you say comes into question.
I'm not good at lying, so I don't like to do it because I know I'm going to get caught. I've been getting caught since I was a child, so it just don't work out for me.
To God be the glory.
I prefer to just go out swinging, bro. All right. They say, I love you after a month of dating.
I'm all right with it.
What about 2 weeks?
No.
Sometimes they say, if you know, you know.
Yeah, well, hold that in just a little longer.
All right. Healthy or hazard? They haven't introduced you to anyone in their life after months of dating.
Flag. Hazard.
Hazard? The room, y'all agree? Hazard? I mean, what if you're trying to keep things? You don't want outside influences?
No, but you want to know. If you really like somebody, you want your friends to check them out, kind of. Like,
yeah.
kind of.
I'm going to go with hazard,
and
too.
then, too, it's like, you have this new thing that you're so excited about. You want to share it with other people.
On the contrary, healthy or hazard, they want you to meet their family after the second date.
That happened to me. Hazard.
Really?
Hazard.
That's crazy. All right. Healthy or hazard, they never apologize first, but they do eventually apologize.
Hazard.
Yeah. I feel like if you feel like you're wrong.
Yeah, if you never apologize ever, you think you're always right.
Yeah. Last but not least, they're closer to their mom than you. Healthy or hazard?
Hazard. 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 I mean, if we've been dating for 2 months, it's appropriate for you to be closer to your parents. But if you're approaching marriage, you're getting married, Bible says you shall leave your father and mother and cling to your spouse.
Fair enough. Also, that was a good one. I think we're going to keep that going for moving forward.
Yeah, I like that. That was fun.
That was a good laugh. Nevertheless, that is the end to our podcast. We thought this was an exciting one. We just wanted to talk about relationships, kind of give context to our relationships, a little bit about our background and how we ended up in this situation right here. The next episode, we are actually going to bring a second couple on the podcast to talk just a little bit more on the marriage side too as well. And I feel like a lot of those nuggets are going to be, very helpful for a lot of people who are either looking to get married, looking to, date seriously, looking to be, just improving their relationships. It's going to be a good one. So you don't want to miss that one. Nevertheless, anything else you want to add to this episode before we go, Dav?
Obviously, this is our pre-Valentine's episode. Our next episode is going to be after Valentine's. I know Valentine's could be a mixed bag for my folks out there who don't have a romantic relationship. However, I'm sure that there is love in your life. There's something worth celebrating. So whether that be your friends, whether that be your family, whether you already have kids, just pour out on all the love that you have and the love that you have for yourself. Treat Valentine's Day as a special day. Go to the spa. I guess men play golf or do something that you really enjoy, because love is everywhere in your life. It's not just these kinds of relationships. So definitely celebrate love because it's a gift.
Oh, that's a good way to end the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and can't wait to see you in the next episode. This is
Finding Harmony.